Hey, and welcome back. In today's video, I wanted to do something a little different than normal. I do plenty of building drums, working on drums, and then also a little bit of vlogging, showcasing my life as a working musician here in a small market like Northeast Wisconsin. I had the opportunity recently to sub in with a band that I've never really performed with, although I have sort of collaborated with, and they're called Menagerie. It's kind of a super group of a bunch of musicians around the area, so all in all, it's like a 9-piece band. 3 lead vocalists that all take turns singing, a keyboard player who sings, and a bass player who sings, and those two are kind of the founders and the leader of the band. And then guitar, drums, and a 2-piece horn section of trumpet and sax. This group's main purpose is to put out videos on YouTube every week, very much in the spirit of like Scary Pockets, with like funky covers of songs you know. And every week they have a different lineup of musicians playing. But the spin for them is half of the songs are also original, so there's kind of a good mix of both between the covers and originals, but everything kind of has this funky, fun vibe. The band that plays live is usually consistent, and sometimes I've played with like the 4-piece version of this band for some smaller events, but I've just barely ever been able to be free for any of the times they've asked me to play with the large group before. So this was a real treat to do, but it was a ton of preparation because these arrangements are super tight. They did have a rehearsal at the beginning of the summer, and that was like June 1st, June 2nd. It ends up showing up in my 1 month as a musician vlog if you want to see that. But this gig didn't happen until like mid-August. So we're talking about 2 months since that one rehearsal for me to try to recall everything we worked on there. And luckily I took good notes on my iPad with the charts, but still, I pretty much had to cram the week of this gig to get everything down. Now, one other challenge with this group specifically is that for all the shows they do, they're usually just dealing with wedges for monitors. Don't have an in-ear rig for the whole band to be all synced up together. And they really like the drummer to play to a click track. And as much as I don't like the idea of playing to a click when no one else hears it, it's something I gotta do because that's the way they want it to be. So you'll see me with in-ears on, and then I'm counting off all the songs, which is not typical for someone subbing in a band, but honestly, I've also subbed with tons of groups where they always try to make the drummer count off the songs, even though I'm the one filling in. So it just kind of is what it is. You gotta learn to deal with it. Without any further ado, let's get into it. This first song we're going to check out is a cover of Nothing Compares to You by Sinead O'Connor, which is an artist I'm really not familiar with, but that just makes it easier to get more accustomed to this kind of funky arrangement. So let's check it out. Of course, since this is in like a Motown style, I had to start it off with that Motown fill. And we're just kind of vamping here while one of the singers introduces the show to the crowd and gets everyone hyped up.
We are the Fax Menagerie, y'all. And we're going to have a good time. We're not going to have a good time. We're going to have a good time.
Well, it's been 7 hours and 13 days. Hit me now.
One of the things I missed, right? Probably should have played those hits. It's kind of a balancing act of like, priority number 1 is play the groove right, have the tempo locked in. But then for me, like, level 2 is like, get those hits, play fills in appropriate spots, and probably most importantly, catch all the breaks. Because if you're playing and no one else is playing, if it's not a solo, it doesn't look good. So here comes the chorus. Kind of more like a halftime rock, gets out of the Motown vibe where snares on all 4. I'm keeping things pretty simple, so it's a lot of that one classic Motown fill, not a lot of spice and seasoning within the groove, and for me that's because I know none of the other musicians get to hear the click, and so I need to translate the click that I'm hearing as clear as possible so we don't want to drift to another slower, faster tempo. Worst case scenario, I could just kill the click in my ears and just get through the rest of the song without one, but they want it to be consistent throughout the whole song, and that's your job as a drummer to help them do that.
But they'd only remind me of you.
Not to distract from the song, but I feel like in a lot of those old classic Motown recordings, there used to be 2 drum set players on them, so I always thought like one of them would play the groove, one would play the fills, but a lot of times they're playing like slight variations of the same part with a different voicing. Someone on the ride, someone on the hats, right? Or someone 16ths on the hats and someone playing on the ride 8th notes. So when I try to like channel my inner Motown drummer, it's like I try not to get too carried away with the fills or spice, although I'm doing a little bit here. We're live, you know, but still trying to keep a studio vibe.
All the flowers that you're planting, Mom.
Had to throw in my classic triplet fill. I just love the tension it creates rhythmically. So right here with the song kind of ending and just on the big trash can ending, I've got to quick turn the page and get the tempo set for the next chart. Now, I want to stop here for a sec. There's something that came up in soundcheck. We didn't really get a chance to run the whole set because it's like 25 tunes. We just got to start and stop a couple things, which I hate, but it is what it is. But on this song, we did soundcheck with it, and I just thought like, okay, 1 measure drum fill to bring everyone into the start of measure 1. And I quickly realized no one started, and that's because they're all used to this 1 drum fill from the recording. Kapakum, 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 kapak. Super simple fill, but it's one of those things I think when you're subbing, you might take for granted. You think, I've got to get the grooves right, but I'll just make up whatever fill I want. Generally, I think that's okay, but I'm setting a new rule for myself that if a song starts with a fill, you've got to play the fill from the record. So you can't play Rock With You and just play Rock With You. You've got to play same thing with a few other fills, right? Obviously, like In the Air Tonight, Phil Collins. You've got to play that fill because everyone knows it. So it's just as much of a cue as it is for a time for you to express yourself and highlight the drummer. Luckily, we did go over that one in soundcheck because that would have been super embarrassing during the show if no one came in. So as you can see, new lead singer, another classic song, Ain't No Sunshine, Bill Withers. A little bit different vibe.
Ain't no sunshine when she's gone, and she's gone way too long. Anytime she goes away, I wonder this time when she's gone.
So typically when I play this song, I love to play in the style of James Gadsden, which I think has tons of subdivision and pulsing and like interesting chatter between ghost notes on the snare and extra hi-hat notes. But this arrangement is a little bit different and needs to be a little simpler. And since the singer Julio is like such a fan of Latin music, I put a little bossa nova groove in there on the break.
Anytime she goes away, anytime she goes away.
Like this little tag that's happening right now, I have no idea how many times this is going to happen because we never ran it. So I'm just trying to watch Joe, the band leader, and it has a little acapella hang on the end of it. So, and let's start the next tune. When it comes to that quick segueing from one song to another, that's definitely like an artistic choice. So if you were subbing with a band and had to count off all the songs, I'd probably check with the band leader first about how quickly they want to move from one to the other. But Joe did tell me he wants it to be pretty seamless because he's pretty excited about fitting all these songs into a 2-hour show. right, so this song stays pretty static through most of it. So I think I'm going to skip ahead towards the end of it and show you what happens there. All right, so back in for this kind of final chorus outro jam. You can hear the horns building, but still the same groove for most of it. But here's a few hits. And then a little surprise ending, Stevie Wonder, Sir Duke. So just trying to play the original groove for that, right, with the open hi-hat. And this was like a funny moment. I remember this at the gig because I have it set when I turn the page in my chart that the click track just starts and then I click it in and count it on. But the bass player, Dave, who's like one of the band leaders and kind of really does a lot of the work behind the scenes with this group, he just started playing the bass line and I was like freaking out, like, oh my God, this is going to be off from the click. And luckily, whatever luck we needed to make it happen, when I turned the page, the click was right locked in with him. So shout out to Dave. You're an amazing bass player and you have an insane memory for the exact BPM of a song. Kudos. New singer again. This is John. Great singer in our area, great bass player as well. And I think he plays bass later on this show.
Any little thing that I can do. Never found a love as good as you.
This song was probably one of the ones I had the most anxiety about learning. It's like a ska vibe. Obviously, you can hear that now. But there's just a lot of twists and turns in the form, and it's like every verse might be a different length. There might be a little extra line at the end, and it's a total nightmare to get through if you don't know what's coming.
In the pocket of your heart. Kept all your love in the pocket of your heart. Kept all my love in the pocket of.
Also, I should shout out, this is an original song by Joe the keyboard player and John together, so.
Ready, get on with this life.
This is a song too where like when you're playing this super simple like ska disco beat really tight without a ton of fills, I would love to have a percussionist just kind of like filling in with like go-go bells or bongos or something. I tried to add a little bit of it in to give it a little more style, but again, it's like priority number one, keep the click and tempo locked in for the rest of the band. This one, the ending of it kind of got me. The tempo for this is 162 beats per minute, and the next one is 84. So it's like, if you cut the tempo in half or go to halftime feel and pick it up a touch, that's the transition to the next one. And then I went to halftime here because I think it was supposed to come soon, but I don't know if it actually was supposed to happen here. So I think the idea is I'm getting into halftime to kind of break it into the next song, but I think I jumped the gun a little too early because they're all still doing their vocal tags. I don't know. That's the art of a live show, I guess. Rolling with the punches. You can see Joe cueing it one more time, right? And here's the next song. I tell you what makes subbing in a band a lot easier as a drummer is if you have a killer bass player who has your back. I love Dave, and he's always so kind to me, and like I've never had a bad time with Dave, I think. Always upbeat, positive. Same thing with Joe, too.
Today is gonna be the day that they're gonna throw it back to you. By now, you should have somehow realized what you got to do, yeah. Well, I don't believe that anybody feels.
So obviously you probably recognize this one, Wonderwall by Oasis. Vibey halftime funk, just like almost everything else we're doing.
The word is on the street that your fire in your heart is out. Well, I'm sure you heard it all before, but you never really had the doubt, no. Well, I don't believe that anybody.
For this one specifically, unlike a lot of the other ones we've played before, I didn't feel like super strict on having to play the exact drum groove or exact fills, but there are a few hits on this coming up. Some that I like to hit more deliberately, some that I kind of just play through. And that is key. Knowing when you need to punctuate hits or not.
I would like to say to you, but I don't know how. I don't know how. I said, baby, you're gonna be the one that saves me.
So just like these offbeat, kind of stepwise motion for the horns. It's like, I don't even punctuate every one. I just play the first one and the third one, and I think that feels nice. But then here,
today was gonna be the day
little break.
that I never throw it back to you.
All right, so now we've got a little breakdown with the vocals. Obviously, it'd be super cool if I didn't play here and it was just straight a cappella. But again, the click track, right? Always got to be thinking of like keeping them on because they don't have it in their ears.
You're my Wonderwall. Bring it back. Wonderwall. I said, baby.
One other thing when it comes to like playing hits that I think is huge is articulation, which is a word we don't hear a lot as drummers, but staccato, marcato, legato. In this case, it's like if the band is playing tight hits, don't hit the crash cymbal and let them hit over. Hit a tight voice. So in my case, it's like open hi-hat and closing them real quick.
Oh, thank you guys
The end,
so
I do
much.
let it hang over on the crash because that's just kind of like letting the breath out of the last bit of the song. So
Oh, thank you all so much, music
so you can see on this next
lovers. How
song,
you feeling
I'm
so
trying to like
far?
warn everyone in the band, I'm going to count off with 1, 2.
K-Town represent-
It's one of those songs that's super slow, and I think we start on beat 3. So if I counted like 1, 2, 1, 2, it would just take an eternity to count off, right? So I'm just trying to remind everyone that they're only going to hear 2 clicks before we start.
Looks like we made it. Look how far we've come, my baby. Might have took the long way.
A lot of subdivision going on here because the slower the tempo, the more time there is between those clicks. So I'm sure I have the click on as 8th note, so instead of being like 60 BPM, I have it on at 120. But I'm playing a ton of filler on the hi-hat, not just boom.
Still going
It also matches the style of the song, in my opinion. Like that, too. There's that little break before the chorus, just like the beginning of the song. I kind of like chickened out on actually committing to playing it and playing something aggressive. I just kind of played on the hi-hat and dropped out once I heard it. It's one of those things that's like, I want to know these songs well enough to play with confidence, but if I don't, I want to at least be aware enough and key at every moment, just like to be able to get out after I didn't commit to something and not be playing through a whole break. I nailed it there, though.
Nothing better. We be the odds together. I'm glad we didn't listen. Look at what we would be missing. They said
There, those hits kind of caught me off guard because in the chart it's just like verse, chorus, and then repeat, and it has a note that says like second time hits, I think. I don't know. I got it mostly, but either the trumpet player was wrong or I'm wrong.
still going strong.
Nailed the break there.
That I want you, the one I belong to, still the one that I miss for life.
So again, with the chart on this, I remember on the gig I was kind of freaking out about, do we stop here? Because the song just ends tight on those hits that you'll hear at the end of the chorus or the end of the verse. And the chart only showed repeat signs around a verse and chorus. So I thought maybe it's just twice, ending here. But luckily, the soloist, Calvin, the guitar player, he was filling a bit. So then that kind of keys me in of like, okay, we're going again. But at this point, I can't remember, like, I don't think there was an actual solo section on the chart, just the verse chorus. So are the vocals coming back in on the chorus? Do we play the break? Do we keep this section open, or is it the exact amount of bars it was before? This is where I kind of got to be watching with my eyes to the band leader and see what they're giving me as far as information of a cue.
Still the one that I kiss goodnight. Looks like we made.
And then here, I think I thought it was ending, and when I saw them going on, I realized, no, they're not, and I kind of hit a big crash, and it really was just like a chill, mellow section. I think just with the keyboard and vocals, but I had to just keep playing through. All right, this next one's fun. This is kind of like a New Orleans second line vibe on The Middle by Jimmy Eat World. And our bass player is actually a multi-instrumentalist, so he's going to play some tuba on this one.
Yo, give it up for Dave Jerebick on there.
And I believe John, the singer from the last song, he jumps on bass for this. And Julio, one of the other vocalists, you see he's grabbing his saxophone. I don't know about everybody else in their markets, but in my region, the Fox Valley, it seems like every horn player knows if they want a gig, they got to double. So like if you're a saxophone player and you can sing, you're going to get gigs. You can sing lead, you'll get even more gigs. If you're a bass player and you have other skills, people will find a way to use it. Although bass players are always busy. Again, keeping the groove pretty simple and not a ton of improv or style here, just because I'm trying to keep the click really locked in. I'm used to playing with the click. I do it all the time when I'm recording in a studio, and pretty much every time I play at a church, I'm playing with a click. But when it comes to like live band stuff, just gigging, it's really not something I do a lot of. And so like in this case, I've got in-ears in just for the click, but then I've got a wedge for my mix. So it's like just creating a balance of where you can hear everything. It's something I've got to get more used to, especially if I play with this band more.
Everything you get.
Don't you worry what they tell themselves when you're away. Just take some time, little girl, you're in the middle of the ride. Everything will be just fine. Everything will be alright, alright, yes it will. Hey.
Here at this little instrumental bridge, I'm kind of changing it up, and then it's going to get into a really broken down section. To me, this is almost like a nursery rhyme, and since I still have to play time through to keep everything on click, I'm doing it on the cymbals to just try to be a little bit more legato and graceful with it as opposed to
I came along and I wrote a song for you, and everything you do, and it was called Yellow.
And then we're back in like this for the rest of the song. I'll let it play out at the end, but I'm going to skip ahead a little bit. All right, so back in the outro, very much like the intro with the horns. A bunch of solos. I think everyone took a solo on this one. And then just off on one. Doesn't get more simple than that. All right, so I think I've gone through plenty of these, and for the rest of the night, it was much of the same. Just adapting on the fly, keeping my eyes open for cues, keeping my eyes engaged to the charts because the forms were tricky. This last song that I'm going to just let play through as my sign-off is one that I actually got to play on and help arrange with one of my closest friends, Jake Crow, singing. And he's also singing here with the band live. He's the sax player, so he pops up for one song to sing lead vocals. And this is a really fun arrangement of 1979 by the Smashing Pumpkins. I hope you enjoyed this. Hope it was useful and helpful to some of you that are maybe subbing with a band or just curious how I approach thinking about music and playing with a group as a sideman and not a leader. And if you enjoy this sort of thing, give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel to stay tuned for more videos just like this and plenty of videos that are different as well. So thanks for watching. Ooh, and I almost forgot to mention, please check out Fox Menagerie on YouTube. They're really trying to build up an audience, and they're at like 2.5 years of posting weekly, and I would love to see their channel grow the way mine has grown over the last few years. So I'll have links for them down in the description, and they also have a new album coming out on Spotify, I believe the day this is going to be released. So check them out there as well.
Down 1979. A cool kids that never have the time. Oh, the life wide above the street. You and I, we should meet. A June bug, she's skipping like a stone, with the headlights pointed at the dawn. We were sure we'd never see an end to it all. And I don't even care to shake these zipper blues. We don't know just where I'm moving. Where's the dust? I guess forgotten and absorbed to the earth below. Zenodium now, with headlights pointed at the door. Morphine city slipping dues down the sea. We don't even care, as restless as we are. We feel the pull in the land of 1,000 years, and bored cement, forgotten and absorbed to the earth. And towns below, faster than the speed of sound, faster than we thought we'd go beneath the sound. Justine, she never knew the rules. Hung out with these freaks and ghouls. No apologies ever need be made. Listen, I know you better than you fake it to see that we don't even care to shake these zipper blues. We don't know just where our bones will rest to dust, I guess, forgotten and absorbed to the earth below. The street heats